Let's go.
Resident Evil Village wasn't what I was expecting. It has actually exceeded my expectations. From beginning to the end, the game kept me engaged in its setting, tone, and lore. It's definitely a step up from the fucking lame-a-thon Resident Evil 3 remake was, and it can show some developers how to do a cross-gen, release properly. I ain't gonna say no names, I'm just gonna post some memes. I was about to say point some elbows, but get my point. Well, anyway, it's like Resident Evil 4 meets Resident Evil 7. It has just, almost everything from, for every Resident Evil fan. And even though it's different from the originals like most Resident Evil games are, it actually at times doesn't forget where the franchise came from. Like, for example, Oswald Spencer, one of the founders of Umbrella Incorporated, actually got some of the ideas from Mother Miranda's Cadu virus. If I'm saying that right, maybe I'm not. Didn't really hear it in the game, really. Just sounding it out, yeah. He actually spent 15 years there researching the virus. If you haven't brought it in, alright, fan of Resident Evil, I highly suggest you hop on your system or hop to the nearest GameStop or Game Store and get it. Get it right fucking now, alright? It's worth it. The game, it's, totally worth it, okay? The game starts out with Ethan and his wife Mia with his new child in a new house somewhere in Europe. A few years later, after the a few years later after the Baker incident in Louisiana. I'm pretty sure it happened there. Let's just say, without blurting out too many spoilers, Chris Redfield in the scene bursts through the door like the fucking Kool-Aid Man and takes Ethan's baby with him. The truck crashes and Ethan ends up in some weird-looking village next to a sinister-looking castle that looks like it came fresh out of Castlevania. As you move through the village to find your daughter and link up with the residents of the area, you start to realize you're in the middle of some serious fucking shit. People start mutating into these werewolf-like fucking creatures. There's these goblins or zombies. Zombies as well. There's this crazy old ass laughing lady with speaks in more riddles and poetry than fucking Shakespeare and the Riddler combined. And did I mention that when you enter the castle, this shape-shifting lady called Mother Miranda want to steal your kid for her own ambitions, and has 4 children. Quotation marks, children that wants to kill you in the worst way possible. In their own ways possible. Yeah, you got a lot on your hands. The characters are actually really interesting, and the Duke is my favorite. He's a nice guy that always keeps his cool and gives Ethan intel on certain items. One time even looked out for him when he was, Ethan was down and out. And he actually sells and buys stuff like a certain someone in Resident Evil 4, the Merchant. I like the Merchant, though, not to kick dirt on him, the Merchant from Resident Evil 4, he's, the Duke is more in depth and has a lot more lines of dialogue. I like the Merchant, but don't kill me or don't shoot me, but yeah, I prefer the Duke. I only have really one issue with some of the characters, and that is Lady Demetrius, aka Miss Mommy Milkers, to you horny fucks that stalk her when you should be running away from her. It's okay. It's her character or the design. Or her, it's not her character or the design, my bad. Okay, or she's well acted, looks great and all that. She's actually a great villain and an awesome stalker. Not as great as Mr. X, but she beats the pants off of fucking Nemesis. He was ass. And it's a good part of the castle section. I just felt she was underused and she went down way too fast. Especially her daughters, Cassandra, Bela, and Daniela. If I'm saying Belia, I think that's how you say her name. I think. They had so much potential and was constantly showed off in trailers. Capcom had me thinking the Girls in the Mom was going to be something even more big, and they might be one of the last parts of the game. Boy, I was wrong. Each daughter dies the same exact way. On the last one, they try to make it tougher by introducing some puzzle elements, but she goes down quickly and has the same weakness. Demetrius, on the other hand, had a better boss battle, but her mutations were sick and the designs was really creative. However, she wasn't that fun to fight as more bosses. I'll get to that later. She says, like, "I'll devour you, man thing, and I'll kill you, blah 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 blah." No, she does. She barely does that. She gives you every fucking opportunity to fucking sniper ass. Oh, sniper ass with your sniper rifle. Other than that, the castle part was great and it looked beautiful graphically. Honestly, that's everywhere in this game. I mean, Resident Evil is known for having great graphics for its time and highly detailed environments and great character models, and they don't drop the ball here. But anyway, back to the castle. You know, like I said, it should have been pushed down further and they should have made it bigger. Like, you got 4 lords. I mean, I'll get to them later. I mean, their names are a little hard to, you know, pronounce. Demetrius. Okay, you got Demetrius, you got Maru, you got Donna Benavito. I don't know how to say her last name, and I think and her doll Angie. Oh yeah, and freaking Heisenberg. I think Demetrius should have been you should have went to Demetrius on the 3rd try, because Maru and Donna, they are, Maru, he was a okay boss. Donna, she was I guess a little better, but you know, Demetrius should have been up there because she's one of the top ones. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Honestly, the problem with the castle, like I said, was too short, and you do spend more time in the village. You know, it does give away the scare factor a little bit, because you're not inside most of the time, and you could always just, you know, run away, and you don't have to worry about wasting ammo, and the monsters are not that fun to fight, so it kind of kills the fear factor in those areas. Alright, well, after getting out of the castle, you later stumble upon this area that will give you Silent Hill vibes. The house of Benavito, I think that's how you say her name. I'm not sure. Okay? This was by far the scariest part of the game. It even had me screaming like a bitch on camera. The house ran by Donna Benavito. Benavito once a development delayed doll maker, and I think she still kind of is. And she has this doll called Angie. That's a mutated doll. Although it somewhat was out of place in a Resident Evil game, this level was phenomenal and had a lot of engaging puzzles. I was there. Once you get in there, you get your weapons stripped, and you gotta, it's just old-fashioned horror. You just run. After you go fight the fish out of water called Maru. And Maru, he's a character that gets treated like crap, and he wants to just be loved or whatever. But you know, nonetheless, he's still a villain, and he wants to prove his worth by taking you out. He's kind of like the Delago from Resident Evil 4 by mutating into this fish. So you have to, use your head in that freaking fight to find ways to, I guess, navigate through these wooden areas without him knocking you off and eating you. Alright, and then having to fight him later. Alright, after that whole fight, you move on to Heisenberg. Probably the coolest villain in this game. And he has the powers of fucking Magneto. He's an awesome villain and wants to stop Mother Miranda for making him like the way he is and to get his freedom back. But I mean, however, the way he wants to do it is a no-no for to Ethan, because he wants to use his daughter as bait. I mean, to get rid of Mother Miranda. Well, not as bait. Well, as a weapon, really. So yeah, words exchange. He kicks Ethan down that thing. He travels to his factory. Finally, gets out, and they duke it out in a junkyard Megazord battle. Moving on to the protagonist, Ethan Winters. Although we never actually see his face, he's actually amazing. He's strong, dedicated, compassionate, and goes to the furthest lengths to rescue his child Rose. He's one of the best dad in video games. I mean, possibly, I'd say possibly up there with, well, okay, Joel and Lee, even though they weren't, you know, dads to Ellie and Clementine, but you get where I mean. Most people think he's boring because he wasn't that interesting of a character in Resident Evil 7, but this is one of the things that really changed. I speak on Chris and Redfield and Mother Miranda, but if I do, I'll end up spoiling the game. All I could say about Mother Miranda is that she's a really sick, twisted woman that's really powerful, honestly, but her whole what's the word? Her whole motivation is, I guess, pretty stupid, honestly. But, you know, she wants to resurrect somebody she once cared about. Not gonna spoil, not gonna spoil it, you know, because, you know, let's just say I'm gonna just say this person was in Resident Evil 7, and she was close to her. Maybe you guys get it by now, but honestly, I don't know why she would go through all that trouble and doing that. Maybe I'm missing something. Alright, but you know, you'll get all of that, although you don't really engage with her until the end of the story. I'd say it was enough to get the idea on who she is and what she was doing. The world is actually really well crafted, and like other Resident Evil games, you'll find yourself backtracking a lot, but in a good way. There's also little side quests that you can do to obtain optional treasures and weapons upgrades. I enjoyed every minute of exploring the village, solving puzzles, and collecting treasures and files to figure out what's going on. On to the boss fights and enemies. The enemies are okay, you know, you got, I mean, I don't know the name, I know the name of one of them, I think, Likings. I know, yeah, there's these like these things that look like gargoyles, these things that look like zombies or goblins, things that look like werewolves, and then Heisenberg's castle, you got these guys, even though, I mean, these guys with like, what is that called? Drill bits for hands. They're really tough to fight. Not really tough to fight. Honestly, they're easy to beat. I mean, they're no Dr. Salvador, but yeah, they are intimidating to look at. Honestly, I mean, yeah, they are, you know, easy to fight off, and you know, they're not all that scary. They look scary, but they're not. But when they get in groups, it can be stressful to fight off, so be prepared to bust your gun and move essentially in and out of Heisenberg's factory, my bad. The boss fights are a little off going on to that. They're normally pretty easy. The only trouble I had was bringing down Mother Miranda. Yeah, she killed me about 3 times, but to be fair, most boss fights in Resident Evil games aren't that great. Resident Evil Village, guess they could have did better, because, you know, it is still a new title, 2021, and I feel, you know, like I said, they could have done a lot better with that regard. But moving on to my final verdict, not mimicking Angry Joe, that just came to my head. Resident Evil Village is an awesome title. It has a good blend of action and horror to it, and it is a must-buy. It's totally worth $60, and my rating is a 8 out of 10. The only problems are the boss fights and questionable moments, such as Ethan using herb juice to put his hand back on. I know why. Spoiler right here. If you don't want to hear why, just end the video, because the video's ending soon. I know why, because Ethan's so resilient, because he contracted the mold. He contracted the mold after getting, technically he got killed by freaking what's his face when he first encountered him, Jack Baker. He got knocked out and stomped on, dragged inside, but he somehow managed to get infected, and that's why he's so resilient. But that still doesn't make any sense, how he could just cut his hand off and put it back on. That's just weird. Alright, okay, and another problem for me, like I said earlier, was the castle being near to the beginning of the part and being too quick. Like I said, it should have been Demetrius should have been the third boss, not the first boss. It was just, after fighting her and her daughters, I'm like, that was it? Really? Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But other than that, fantastic game. Well, great game. And thank you for watching my review. This is Roger the Rager signing out. Keep raging out.